In the early 17th century, European explorers and settlers began to establish colonies along the eastern seaboard of North America. The first permanent English settlement was established in Jamestown, Virginia, in 1607. Over the next century and a half, 13 colonies were founded along the Atlantic coast, each with its own unique character and governance. Tensions grew between the American colonies and the British Crown over issues such as taxation and representation. The culmination of these tensions led to the Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776. The Continental Congress, led by figures like Thomas Jefferson, declared the colonies' intention to separate from Britain, marking the birth of a new nation. The American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, was a tumultuous period as the colonies fought for their independence. Key victories at Saratoga and Yorktown, coupled with French support, led to the eventual surrender of British forces. The Treaty of Paris in 1783 formally ended the war and recognized American independence. Following the war, the newly independent states faced the challenge of unifying under a central government. The Articles of Confederation proved inadequate, leading to the Constitutional Convention of 1787. The U.S. Constitution was drafted, establishing a stronger federal government and creating a system of checks and balances. The Bill of Rights was added in 1791, guaranteeing fundamental freedoms. The 19th century saw significant expansion and conflict. The Louisiana Purchase of 1803 doubled the size of the United States, while the Lewis and Clark Expedition mapped the newly acquired territory. The country experienced rapid growth through the 19th century, driven by the ideology of manifest destiny. The issue of slavery became increasingly divisive. The Missouri Compromise, 1820, and the Compromise of 1850 attempted to address tensions but ultimately failed to prevent conflict. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860, opposed by Southern states, led to the secession of the Confederacy and the onset of the Civil War, 1861 to 1865. The war, fought over issues of states' rights and slavery, resulted in the Union's victory and the abolition of slavery with the 13th Amendment in 1865. The Reconstruction era followed, aiming to rebuild the South and integrate formerly enslaved people into society. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were marked by rapid industrialization and urbanization. The rise of industries such as steel, oil, and railroads transformed the economy and society. Figures like Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller became influential industrialists. This period also saw significant social changes and reform movements. The Progressive Era, 1890s, 1920, addressed issues like corruption, labor rights, and women's suffrage. The 19th Amendment, passed in 1920, granted women the right to vote, marking a major milestone in the fight for equality. The Roaring Twenties, characterized by economic prosperity and cultural change, came to an abrupt end with the Great Depression in 1929. The economic downturn led to widespread hardship and unemployment. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal programs aimed to provide relief, recovery, and reform. The United States' involvement in World War II, 1939 to 1945, began after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. The war effort united the nation and led to significant military and industrial achievements. The post-war era saw the emergence of the U.S. as a global superpower and the beginning of the Cold War.